welcome back to more Let's Play Dragon Warrior Monsters. Last time, we got incredibly sidetracked. I really did not intend for that to happen, but because we got so sidetracked, we not only finished the Queen's requests, but we have gone out of our way to set up breeding the ultimate monster. It should be a pretty smooth trip from here on out. Now I'm going to deposit some of our previous monsters from that endeavor, and we are going to re-pick up Toto and Rose here. And otherwise, as you might be able to see, we have quite a few normal-ish monsters and quite a few pretty darn impressive monsters here. Now, overall, before we delve into the gates for actual progress here in the post-game, I do want to go out of my way to hatch some of those monsters so that way they can start gaining EXP and start passively leveling while we are running about fighting things. It's just going to speed up the process a lot, so that is what I want to do. Specifically, I believe, just making sure, Soul is male, Esther is female, so we can hatch her, because they will pair together to make another boss monster. And because boss monsters just take so much EXP, it really is a good idea to be hatching them and letting them gain EXP. We will call her Est. Works for me. We will not take her with us right now. And then let's see, Jamaris. We should be able to hatch as well. Rose is female, perfect, because she will be breeding with Jamaris. So he can also start gaining EXP while we are out and about. Ah, the miracle of life. I'll probably just name him Jammy, short for Jamaris, of course. Perfect, we do not want to take him with us. And then otherwise, I think our Orochi we can hatch too, as far as I remember. I want to be careful with that, because I believe our Orochi is going to breed with another thing, and so we will just make that thing whatever the Orochi's gender is, so that should be fine as well. This way, all of these monsters will be leveling up, gaining EXP, and if I care about their skills, which with some of these first ones I really don't, then I could bring them to the Metablegate, but that's just a lot of extra unnecessary farming I really just don't need to be doing. Now, when it comes to actual team members and monsters we will be using on the team, especially some of the later ones, I do want to go out of my way to make sure they learn all of their skills, because that's going to be very important for later, because we are going to need some very specific things if we want to stand a chance against some of the later threats the game offers. Still, with all that out of the way, I believe we want to come over, I think it's this set, because we're looking for the Gate of Ambition. Welcome! Go right to the Gate of Demolition and left to the Gate of Ambition. Perfect. You said what, right for Demolition, right? Left to the Gate of Ambition. Beautiful. In here lies our destiny. Let's get to it. And here we are, immediately surrounded by spikes. We will use our most favorite spell, Step Guard, and its lovely sister spell, Map Magic. Now, pretty much every single one of these post-game gates is going to be 34s. Though, there is, I think, one exception. I think the Arena Gate has, I think it's 27 for some odd amount. Now, this gate houses all of the bug family, and frankly, they're not all that tough, like, at all. Even the later stage bugs really just are nothing compared to some of the later stage, say, slimes or dragons or heck, even birds and beasts. Most of these monsters are extremely underwhelming, and frankly, I'm just gonna let the team do as they please, because the quicker we get through these fights, the quicker we get to where we need to go. Now, I'm hoping that we can just kind of blitz through this, take on the boss, and just keep on going. I imagine it won't be quite that quick, but I can dream. Otherwise, Stepguard and Matt Magic will be our champions. Now, one reason I did want to start with this specific gate is that this gate leads to the first boss in the Dragon Quest series, Draco Lord. Now, he's a fairly modest fight, all things considered. We'll get to him once we do. But all in all, I want to do the gates in order, so we will be starting with Draco Lord, and then after that, order will be for Dragon Quest 1, and then we'll move on to the Dragon Quest 2 gate, Dragon Quest 3 gates, etc., so on and so forth. That's at least how I'm planning on doing things. It should work out pretty well, because they kind of scale in such a way for you to do that. We're actually getting fairly lucky with these floors not being massive. One thing I will plan on doing is if we encounter any wizards, I'm probably going to fight them and use them, because we just don't need to be here all day. And as fun as it is for me to hold your hand while we walk through every single one of these dungeons, I would much rather get to the juicy stuff while still showing you that this is something you're going to have to do. So we've been fairly lucky already, and that is very nice. Because usually, I think with pretty much every single one of these post-game gates, they all follow a very linear formula of the first 5 floors have all the weakest stuff, then the lower middle floors have some of the more advanced monsters, the higher middle floors have the more middling to powerful monsters, and then the final set of floors, I believe it's 21 up to 29, those have all of the actually worthwhile monsters that generally can pose a threat. Pretty much anything below 21, you're probably not even going to have to think about. Most of your stuff should be so powerful at this point, especially if you use them at Dabble Farming like we did, that you shouldn't even have to bother. Also, where is the gate on this one? Did I just... Oh, it must be way over there to the left. It's always a little funny when you almost go the entire end of the map and you just don't see the gate. That's kind of rare, admittedly, so it's kind of cool to see it. But so far, we are making pretty good time overall. Let's take a look here. Ooh, beautiful. That is what I like to see. Lava floors, nothing to be worried about, because again, Stepguard is our lovely skeleton key for getting through dungeons nice and quick. Now, one thing you could do, if you wanted to try to conserve a little MP and not worry about inventory space, is you could actually use the Beast Tail. It's not a terrible idea. But again, if you have Stepguard and Matt Magic, you probably don't need it. It's just, you could use it, especially if you're, wanting to explore floors more and actually look for items, and you don't care about just beelining to the gate. I could see it still be pretty useful. Again, I would rather have the inventory slots, but that is just me. Ooh, an extra world too. Honestly, I will take that over a love water. Now, I figure I'm not going to pass up any items that are along the way, but I may as well, look for a couple things here and there. We have plenty of work wings. Oh, I've got to deposit the tiny metal. Now, evidently, I'm really, really not concerned with ever catching monsters again, because we're pretty much set for the rest of the game, which is awesome. So, realistically, all the money we have is more than enough for everything else we have to do. So, that's exciting. Which, although it's been a while since you've seen at the bank and how much we have in there, we have about, I think, 60k gold. So, we have more than enough money. I will never have to worry about that again, which is excellent. And as you can see, we've been just kind of going. We've not found much opposition, which is awesome. Now, obviously, if we could find a wizard, that would speed things up. But, I mean, most of the monsters in all these gates, you've seen before. You've seen the go-hoppers, you've seen the army ants, you've seen the moths, you've seen the slugs. You know what you're in for. It's at least nice to have that information and the idea of, oh, I'm going to be fighting this type of family of monster. This is one of few and rare cases where if you did have the specific skill that targets the monster's family for dealing damage, it could honestly be pretty useful. Now, I wouldn't recommend, breeding a monster specifically for that purpose, but if you happen to have it, you just didn't have anything better, or whatever the case may be, if you have the skill, it could come in handy here. Again, you're not really going to be fighting many monsters that are too intimidating, and even if you are, you probably have things like Big Bang, Hell Blast, Explode It, you name it. Usually nothing you would have to worry too much about, really, because most of the buggies just are whatever. Now, once you start getting into some of the more dangerous families, again, like slimes, dragons, even birds, beasts, materials, to be honest, those are pretty tricky, and sometimes devils too. Usually, by then, you have some sort of skill or ability that can go through their resistances or defenses, so I usually don't find it too big of an issue to have to deal with those kinds of monsters. It's why sometimes having skills that are redundant can be nice, and why it can sometimes be a burden as well. Because if you have a skill that's really good against one family, or, the monster set that you're fighting, doesn't have resistances to it, your whole team can spam it and you can just be done with the later fights in instance. Otherwise, if you don't have a diverse skill pool, though, you can get walled by certain monsters, and fights can take a little longer. So you gotta be careful about that. But between Hellblast, Big Bang, Thordane, I mean, even Whitefire, which is one of the reasons I kept it, you can just plow through most fights. There's really gonna be nothing that can even bother to stand in your way. Again, some of the dragons, maybe they might need another skill from another monster, but, I mean, beyond that, you're kind of seeing what most of these late-game dungeons are all about. Go through a long trial that tries to whittle you down, fight a bunch of familiar monsters, which honestly are decent for recruiting, but some of them are just so deep in here that unless it's the only way to recruit it without reading, I generally don't even consider it. I usually just go about easier methods. But then you fight a series boss, get a bunch of EXP, move on. Which, to be fair, the EXP is kind of redundant when you have the Metallic farm. When you have that, there's really no point to stick around any of these dungeons other than that one to farm EXP, so it's a nice little bonus along the way, but it's nothing I would stick around specifically for, if you get what I mean. Now, it is cool seeing some of the Dragon Quest series bosses. That is always fun, and I will be going out of my way to try to tell you which game they are from specifically. Some of them I do know, some of them I don't know off the top of my head, but I do have my notes, of course, so I'll be able to at least tell you. Also, wow, Toto, I don't know why you summoned someone for this fight. This is going to be over in a couple seconds. But they did put up much more of a fight than I anticipated. I'll give them that. But I mean, 600 EXP, you can kind of tell based on the EXP yield, they're just not that tough. Which, hey, I'm not complaining. Ooh, okay. So here's the neat thing. Yes, you can save in these rooms, we know this. But typically, in these later ones, there's usually one actual item, and then usually the other chests are always mimics, typically. It's a higher chance for this kind of room to show up, and it's really nice for EXP early on. Now this is an example of one that didn't actually have the mimics, but in some of the later ones, like when I was going through the slime gate in my own time, and when I went through, I think, the dragon one to recruit the grand dragon and the spikerus, I found them all the time, and it made things so much quicker, at least early on. It was a nice piece of bonus EXP that I was able to snag along the way, in order to power up the team to be ready for the metabols. So it was fairly worth it at about, I think, 2k a chest. They don't take much damage to kill, and they're fairly easy. So I always thought it was worth doing those rooms, just because overall, if you're fighting, 5 of them, you're getting over 10k EXP, which is nice. So it's more or less half of a metabol, which I think is well worth the time. Sure, you might use a little more EXP, you might earn a little less EXP and use a little more MP for the job, but if it's along the way of getting to the metabols, I think it's very worth it. Plus, too, you get your free item, you get to save. It's really just an excellent package deal. Now, if you are struggling with the game, finding a lot of fights are just way too hard, then, well, those rooms might help catch you up. Or, if you get to them, they might offer a nice sanctuary where you can just save and recruit. So, it's really never a bad thing to find those rooms, I think. Which, man, we are just getting through here. This is excellent. I hate saying it, but I really don't have a lot to say about these later dungeons. They have their family, they have their cool boss. It's kind of just one of those things where you make your way through, you fight what you find, and go from there. Here we see some of the cooler later bugs with the troll, the, I think, mad hornet and army crab. These are all pretty useful for breeding certain monsters. So, you can keep that in mind. Worst case, there are lists online which can always tell you where these monsters are. But I don't think I would ever go 20 plus floors into a dungeon to recruit any specific bug, even if I was going out of my way to get Armorbian. Or even like Digster or something. It's just not worth your time. Bugs just are not that good. Now for things like Great Dragons, or Spikerus, or Metabol, or even some of the later birds, like Whipbirds or something like that, or any other later dragon, it's very worth your time, because some of those are a pain. I mean, a pain to get a hold of. Now, things like Andreol, sure, I could find them later 24s deep in the dungeon, but it's honestly faster to just get 2 Warp Wings, grab a couple Sirloins, get a Gulpul, get any other dragon, breed those together, and then boom, you have an Andreol. So while it is technically more efficient to go all 24s in, use Iron Eyes, get your Andreol, etc., I don't think it's as fast. Now maybe in the grand scheme of things, it might be if you really have it down to a science. And sure, you do have to recruit more monsters total, a total of 2 versus 1. But you have so much money, or at least should, at this point in the game. Your monsters are so strong. It's just quicker to hop in, hop out, and then, delve 24s of possibly max-sized dungeons. But hey, you do you. That's the lovely thing about this point in the game. You have plenty of choice. You have so many ways of going about so many different things, that if my methods aren't your preferred way, I'm sure you can find something else that suits you much better. And that's one of the beautiful things about this game, is that there are a ton of ways, and I mean a ton of ways, about going around recruiting, different monsters to create different results. There are many ways in order to end up with, a Gulpul. You could do a traditional route of breeding specific monsters to create one, you could go capture one, you could just happen to find one with a master or something, which, to be fair, I don't think Gulpuls can show up with masters, but you get the idea. You might get lucky. Ooh, a wizard. I'm a wizard and a master. If you win, I'll show you my power. That is precisely what we want. Ooh, we get to see some cool monsters. Chop Clown, Balzac, Stone Man, all admittedly worth using Sirloins on. I don't have any real reason to recruit any of them specifically, but if we can get one, why not? The 2 in the middle there, the Chop Clown and Balzac, those are probably the much more worthwhile monsters to recruit here, just because they're harder to find. Chop Clown especially. Let's see, these are Sirloins, again, I really just don't care, but we can snag something we don't have before, I mean, that's worth it. I don't plan on completing the Monster Bestiary, just because that is so much more work than it's ever worth. But, A, soul gain level, but B, getting Dark Treant is going to be well worth the time. Otherwise, soul gains 1 HP, 6 attack, and nothing else because he's already maxed out. Rotate's level 74, getting 9 HP, 9 attack, 5 defense, pretty good. Didn't recruit anything, not a biggie. Show us our power, or his power, and then bada bing bada boom, we're at the final floor. That went exceptionally well. Do Step Guard and Magic. And then we'll go find our boss, which is exciting. That didn't take long at all. And if you're lucky, that's how most of these dungeons go. Maybe 20-30 minutes, you're done. There's 9 of them, you're good to go. And look at him. What a gentleman. Sitting nice and at his throne, awaiting a beating. Ah, it's beautiful. Reminiscing in Dragon Quest I. What a guy.
Welcome, Terry. I'm the King of Kings, Draco Lord. I have been waiting for a youth like you to show up. If you will become my pal, I will give you, Terry, half of the world. What do you say? Will you be my pal? No way. What's wrong with it? It is not a bad offer. You really don't want half of the world?
Frankly, no, that's way too much responsibility, especially for a 6-year-old.
Ah, great. You agreed. Now I will give you half of the world. The world of darkness. Did you really believe I would say such a thing? Fool! That will teach you.
Alright. To be honest, I don't know if I hit yes or no there. Either way, it's Draco Lord. We pretty much know what he does. He's not all that special. He's got a lot of HP, and unfortunately, he does have a way to heal 500 health every single turn if he wants. He's kind of a pain for that. Most of his spells and abilities really aren't going to do much, but he does have a pretty neat gimmick, which he most likely will show off because he has a lot of health. So, buckle in. Still, with things like Exploded, Hell Blast, and all that, he shouldn't be too bad. Which, admittedly, I could put Rose or Toto on, defending, and actually what I should do is have Rose go on Mixed, because with her using Twin Hits and Ultra Down, that'll actually make our physical damage deal more than anything our spells could do. And I did not mean to hit A there, whoopsies. Trying to speed through dialogue and getting myself in trouble like usual. Still, a lot of these fights, while they are unique, aren't all that hard, which is nice. So let's see, charge, mixed. Oh, and I have Toto on command. That's weird. Normally when your monster's on command, they won't use skills or abilities, so it's interesting that he was. Huh. Well, you see something new every day. I wonder if possibly the game stored something in memory of him having been this, or if his personality was taking over. Either way, pretty cool. Rose sets up a magic wall, pretty useful. Twin hits, perfect. I'll probably have Toto go onto healing in a moment, just because we are taking some damage. And yeah, there we go, Meditate. So it heals 500 HP on the dot for 8 MP. I think Draco Lord has, I think it's around 500 MP? I think 5,000 HP. So he can be a bit of a pain. Oh, sorry, 4,000 HP and 550 MP. My bad. Still, when we're doing 500 so damage every swing, he goes down fairly quick. Gives an okay amount of EXP.
You beat me. You're really something.
One down, Terry. Let's go back.
Now, interestingly, he didn't actually show off his gimmick, I think, because we killed him too quickly. He's supposed to turn into a dragon and have a whole second phase. But, hey, I'm not complaining.
Oh, Terry, you beat Draco Lord. You could beat an evil lord. I cannot find a fitting praise. You should be the king instead.
Oh, the king?
Just kidding. Work hard. You're dismissed. Busy, busy, busy.
Thank you, King. I appreciate it. Otherwise, get a nice free heal, grab our herb, and frankly, we've still got a fair amount of time. Let's go do the next gate. Why not? Now, luckily, that is all there is for Dragon Quest 1, but the next gate leads into Dragon Quest 2. So, well, you know the deal. Save your game, be as prepared as you want to be, and hop right on in. Now, let's see here. Should be pretty much the same deal. Use map magic, step guard if you need it, keep on going. Oh, this one only has 29 cores, just 28, and then... okay, I guess they do differ a little. That's not a bad thing, to be honest. Saves us time. Just gonna skip that chest, because I have a feeling it will be a mimic. Not that I mind so much, but, well, you know. Otherwise, use another map magic. You're gonna be hearing that a lot today. And keep on moving. Now, one good strategy that might be worth your time is if you get a max size floor, looking around the entire next floor to see if you got a wizard to spawn, because if you did, that can save you a ton of time. And honestly, the next floor we get that is max size, I probably will look for a wizard afterwards. Anyways, here we have the plant family. Nothing all that extraordinary, though, to be fair, we are using the ultimate plant in our team right now, so that's cool. Otherwise, you're not really going to find anything too intriguing here. I mean, some of the later stuff is interesting, but anything early, I mean, even the middling floors are just so underwhelming. Now, you can find Gopal, I think, on floors 6 to 10, but past that, there's really nothing here for you. Even then, you have better ways of finding Gopal, so I don't see a reason to bother. Come in, get your boss, go out. Shouldn't be too hard. Moon Herb, very nice. Unfortunately, we have Surge, which invalidates all healing items, but hey, better than a sharp stick in the eye, as they would say. Ooh, this looks like a max level floor, okay, or max size floor, which means on the next floor, I want to look around the entire floor and see if we can find a wizard. Now, while it is not a guaranteed spawn, if we do happen to get him, the time it took to explore the entire floor is probably going to be worth it. Now, that's assuming he does show up. Ooh, unlucky, we got a labyrinth floor, luckily we know the layout. Still, no wizard for us, sad day. That is one of the unfortunate things about the multiple of 3 floors is, if you don't get a save room, you're probably getting one of these rooms, which is annoying. Otherwise, Mad Plant, Gopal, Onion, I mean, you've seen them before, they're nothing to do. One big bang, couple attacks, you're on your way. Toto hits level 74. Pretty cool. Gains 3 HP, 8 MP, 5 attack, 2 defense, no agility or intelligence. Hey, I'll take one extra level on the way. Never a bad thing. Now, one exciting thing I think I do want to do is after this gate, I think I want to breed Toto into the next big thing he's going to be. That is the current plan, is after each of these gates, like the rooms, I want to breed each of our team members into their big next thing that they're going to be. I figure if I do this and stagger it just right, it'll mean that we get to, A, say goodbye to each team member, while welcoming in a new one, aka their replacement, and it'll also give me time to farm them up using the metabols. So, that way I can save you guys time, not showing me fighting a million enemies, getting them up to speed. You'll be able to see all their cool new skills that I give them, or at least have them keep. Because in the future, I'm probably not going to keep things like any of the calls, just because I don't like flashing the screen. It's not very considerate, and if I can avoid it where I can, I will. But I also don't need skills like White Fire or anything like that. They're just not that powerful, not that good, not super worth keeping. Not that they're exceptionally bad or anything, you can definitely have worse skills, but we just don't need them, and we could have other things that are more useful, even if more situational, like, say, Mouth Shut, or Dance Shut, or any of those skills, things that stop other skills. Like, one of the things I would like to have is Stop Spell, because that is just useful, and I did mean to keep it, but I kind of forgot down the line of breeding. Still, as you can see, we've been fine without it. It's not a huge deal, especially because a lot of monsters have things that aren't spells. Still, it was really good, and it is nice having it even in the late game. So, that's something I would definitely be intrigued or interested in keeping. Obviously, things like Hell Blast, Big Bang, Surge, Ultra Down, those are just going to be staples. I'm probably not going to keep Hustle on both the monsters that Rose and Toto become. I'm probably going to have Toto's monster keep Heal Us, and then have Rose's monster keep Hustle, just so that way they have some variety and differences in their healing. At least that is the current plan. Soul's monster is basically always just going to be just the big bad, I'm going to beat you down monster, because I like having my first monster be that, like the more tanky, I'm just going to hit you as hard as I can. And then I always like the middle monster being a mixed monster, and the last one being a healer. It's just something I've carried over from the first time I played the game, and I think it also fits the natural scheme of everything, with how it's charge, mixed, and then cautious. Cautious. Don't know why I stumbled over the word cautious like that, but the weirder things have happened. Still, you get the idea. It just kind of naturally lends itself to that order. Not that it's necessary, but it's always how I like doing things. And otherwise, we've seen these monsters. It is kind of interesting knowing that Amberweed is like just a dude with a big flower head. I always forget that. I always think it's like a kind of like a fern on the floor. Maybe not a fern, that might not be the right plant, but I mean, like a literal weed spread out on the floor, but just up facing, so it looks more directly at you. It's, I don't know. I'm not great at explaining what I imagine in my head, but at the very least, I didn't expect it to just be a plant man walking around, if that makes sense. So it is funny sometimes when you do breed a monster, and then you look at its model in the game walking around to see what it actually looks like all around. Some things look way different than you'd ever think they do, and so that can be a lot of fun seeing that. Keep on going. Perfect. Now, one thing that I will point out is if you're noticing, a lot of the floors in this particular game have been kind of smaller. There is a reason for that, which we will get to. Also, nice max level floor here. This means we might go wizard hunting on the next floor. It is unfortunately a multiple 3 though, so we might get screwed over out of our wizard again. But still, if we can get him, that would save us some time. Ironic that we're trying to save time and we're not in the, and we are in the plant dungeon. Look, it's a bad pun. It works better visually than it does audibly, because the idea is, you know, time the herb versus time the concept. Anyways, like I said, I really don't have a lot to say to these. If I wasn't a madman, I would probably cut them out. And to be honest, maybe I'll speed them up. Maybe you'll see these entire segments all sped up, maybe 2 times speed, just so that way we kind of cut through the chaff. Because I'm not exactly saying anything terribly worthwhile, just giving my general thoughts, opinions, and what I've been doing the whole game. We'll see what I decide in editing. But, I mean, so far, so good. 16 of 28 floors. I cannot complain about that. Man, we've been very lucky. A lot of these mysticals have been just so close. I was worried this was going to take a couple hours, to be honest. Just because, you know, if you have to fully explore every floor or you're getting so many fights, it can take a while. Again, I estimate it's probably like 20-30 minutes per gate, but sometimes you just get so unlucky. And I mean, that's, the nature of the beast. The game is right now. Oh, gosh darn it. I realized I didn't look for the wizard. Here I am hoping we find one, and I just completely ignore it. Oh well. Such is my folly for just moving quickly. It's not the end of the world. Though it might definitely make me speed this up in editing, because I don't need people falling asleep. Again, while I do like showing a lot of the tedium that you will have to deal with in a game, I also don't want to explicitly waste your time, because that does suck. Also, you know what? Just use a warp staff. Don't even show me before. I don't want to know. Keep on going. Get our map magic. I don't know if this is a max level floor. It does look like it, though. I'll have to relook at the map once we get a little further up. Let's see. This might be a max level floor. I might be looking for a wizard after this. We can hope. Yeah, it seems that way. Okay, so we might get one at the very end. I was hoping for one sooner than that, but oh well. Ooh, here's an interesting monster, though. Finally, something to talk about. The Snapper. These guys, if you breed two of them together, create a very interesting monster that I think is the only way to make that monster. I forget what it's called. I'll go through some of the notes here and probably tell you. Let me see here. No, it's actually just the Snapper. That's the interesting one. It's two man-eaters that make the Snapper. Which, to be fair, it has some pretty good skills. It has Stop Spell, Rain Slash, and Call Help. So, unironically, not a terrible plant. I know that's kind of rare. Okay, I look for a wizard. I do love these box layouts, just because they do let you check really quickly. There's not a lot of, having to loop around and bind. It's just ready to go. It's super nice. Yeah, so Snapper's pretty good. I mean, Dance Veggies, those are fairly nice. The Fire Weeds are kind of whatever, but still, good to see. Good to see. Still, they are no match for the creation of a new universe. The Big Bang will deal with them. Wizard check, nothing. I'm not going to bother with the top right. I'm just going to assume there isn't one if we don't find him within the next screen or two. I will say, while plants aren't very powerful, at least these ones aren't, great color variety. Blues, purples, oranges, reds, greens, there's a great variety on screen here. I gotta give it to them. A weird thing to compliment, admittedly, but, I mean, what else am I going to say? Here are the same enemies you've been seeing fighting throughout the whole game for the 80th time? Come on. Yeah, I'm definitely probably going to speed these segments up, because this is kind of boring. I mean, it's cool seeing them, kind of like a greatest hits sort of deal. But in some of those later rooms where it takes a while, oh hey, I'll take that. Making up for last room, appreciate it. But like I was saying, it can be kind of a drag. Because, I mean, this is pretty much going to be every episode from here on out. We go through a bunch of dungeons, fight some cool bosses, do a little breeding, rinse, repeat. Which, I mean, hey, to be fair, that is the whole game, and I do love it for that. I do think this is just one of the most entertaining number go up while collecting monsters games out there. It's one of the things I do like it for a little more than, honestly, Pokemon. Because Pokemon, yeah, you get your decently large numbers, your hundreds, your 200s, maybe even 3 or 4, depending on the month. But you don't get to see the big 500, 600, 900 like you do here. And a lot of the Pokemon designs are more, I don't want to say subdued, but they're definitely aimed at a younger audience, right? They're not meant to be horribly terrifying, or scary looking, or, whatever. Though to be fair, there are some Pokemon that are terrifying with their lore. But still, they're made to be much more marketable than they are just literal monsters. So, I do like these designs a fair bit. I wouldn't say I like them more than Pokemon, but I'd say they exist nicely, side by side. And to be fair, with the art direction being by the creator of Dragon Ball, I mean, that's a pretty big merit, isn't it? Sure, it might mostly be the character designs, but, still, goes a long way. Actually, I don't know if he did the monster designs. I mean, obviously the artwork, yes, like the final art, because it's in his style, but I doubt he did all the concepts. Or, to be fair, being the creator of Dragon Ball, he might have. Akira Toriyama is a very creative man. I guess I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing to go look into after the series is over, or, well, for you guys, the episode. And I guess for me, the recording. Keep on marching, because I know we are running fairly long, because I decided to be greedy and do 2 gates. But I mean, how often do you get that opportunity? I mean, come on. What a great chance. Oh gosh, I forget this one's layout. I think we go this way, because that way's a dead end. Oh gosh, I'm not remembering. Not that the enemies are hard or I'm low on resources, but again, I'm trying to save us time. Time equity is a nice thing. To be fair, time is just the most valuable resource there is. It's finite. You can't extend it that much. Oh well, I say extend it. You can't prolong the total amount of time you got. Yeah, gosh darn, I need to go right. But hey, enough to think about that. We want to think about fun, colorful monsters, not mortality. My apologies if any of you get, those deep existential thoughts. I did not mean to provoke that. Hopefully if I speed this up, it'll not stand out as much. But to be fair, if I do speed this up, that will cut out a lot of this chaff going on. And you guys will probably end up with, I'm hoping, like a 30-minute or so episode. That would be nice. I feel 30 minutes is comfy. You get to see all the monsters, you get to see the dungeons, you get to see all the cool bosses, which those I will not speed up because, I mean, come on, that's what you're here for. But again, if you want to breed the ultimate monster, if you want to recruit Wanabo, if you want to face that challenger, well, to be fair, the challenger we'd probably take on right now, but the other two, if you want to do those, you do need to do all these gates. So, it is a necessary evil for one of my favorite games. It's really honestly one of the only downsides I can say, is that while it does offer a fairly big post-game, it is very repetitive and just a lot more of the same that you've been going through. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, not everyone wants an additional 20-30 hours of just farming and grinding. I don't mind it, because I love the game. I love doing all the breeding, I love going through dungeons. I think it's a ton of fun. But I can understand why this game wouldn't be for everyone. Still, hopefully, if this isn't your kind of game, you've at least been intrigued by watching it with, some of the more quality-of-life things I've tried to put in. And here we are, in a very similar setup to Dragon Quest I, the final boss of Dragon Quest II.
Who is it? Disturbing my rest, you fool.
Did you do that knowing I'm the great oracle Hargon?
I mean, not specifically, no.
then you should know. I'm the great oracle of the god Hargon.
Okay, cool. So here's our next boss, Hargon. Charge mixed and charge looks good to me. Ideally with twin hits and ultra down, we will get through this fight nice and quickly. At least that is the hope. Now Hargon here, as I mentioned, he is the final boss of Dragon Quest II. He has some interesting moves. He has Exploded, Firebolt, and Bazoo Call, so he can call an extra ally. He's got the same amount of MP as Draco Lord at 550, and he has 4,000 HP, so a little less. He doesn't have a way to heal, so he's usually a much quicker and easier fight. I don't mind him all that much. Between things like Hellblast, getting crits, Thordain, twin hits, you name it, Hargon ain't that bad. Admittedly, I'm probably, ironically, going to be saying that for most of the fights for the rest of the game. A lot of the post-game and end stuff is pretty easy. You've done most of the hard work. You've got yourself this far. Almost nothing can really stand in your way, at least so long as you're playing smart. Now, if you pull a library moment and you start wandering around with underleveled monsters, you might encounter some pretty heavy opposition. But other than that, you probably won't struggle all that much. Also, too, he tried to call his ally, but it didn't work. Sad. But hey, we beat Hargon.
To my thanks, the great Hargon was defeated by such a thing. I'm shocked, but I have to admit your power. However, remember, some things exist in this world that you cannot beat.
I still smell monster. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's go back.
Sure, Wadabo. Ah, you plum fool, you.
Oh, Terry, you beat Hargon. You could beat an evil lord. I cannot find a fitting praise.
So yeah, the king also just says the same stuff over and over. They didn't really have much to say, as evidenced by the king even saying, I have nothing to say. Now, while I would normally celebrate and say, hey, that's the end of the episode, we did everything we wanted today, we're good to go, the game pulls an incredibly dirty trick. You know how Wadabo mentioned he still smells monsters and evil there? Should we return, the gate is still swirling, as if it hasn't been cleared. This is in reference to how in Dragon Quest II, Hargon dies and then the actual boss shows up. It's a multi-stager. So I'm gonna run through the entire dungeon again, off camera, and I'll meet you at the boss to show you the actual final boss of Dragon Quest II, as well as finishing the first two gates of the post-game. It's gonna take a while, but for you guys, it'll be quick. I'll meet you there. Well, after a quick, more or less 20-minute jaunt, we're back, and if you, notice, Hargon is, gone, and in his place we have this fine-looking fellow. How do you do, sir?
I am the god of destruction. Sir, no, I desire destruction.
Not the most talkative fella, but say hello to Sido, the true final boss of Dragon Quest II. Now we're going to set everyone to do as they normally would. Now, Sido is much stronger, having 6,000 HP and 999 MP. He's got Hellblast, White Air, and White Fire. Past that, he's honestly not that bad. I'm gonna be so honest. He's got good skills. He doesn't really know how to use them. He hurts. Sometimes he will normally attack. And as you can see, even with max defense, he can still damage Soul normally. That is a little scary, to be honest. Now, luckily, with twin hits and a positive attitude, he won't last all that long. As you can see, Hellblast doesn't even affect Rose. So, admittedly, having Soul do the healing in this fight makes more sense with Rose using twin hits on herself and Toto. And I mean, even the damage that does eke through, it's not that bad. If we wanted, we could easily heal it with a single World Dew before Saito could ever take us out. So, he's not all that bad. You'd think, for, the proclaimed god of destruction, he'd be a little scarier, but, well, it was Dragon Quest II. They had to save some of their better, scarier, later ideas for, well, later. Still, he is cool looking, and ironically, we'll actually be breeding him fairly soon. So, that'll be cool. Some pretty good EXP. And that's all she wrote.
There was a monster still here. Let's go back.
Yes, indeed, Watabo. Because now we are officially done with the first 2 gates. 7 more to go.
Oh, Terry, you beat Saito. I'm going to repeat my dialogue for a 3rd time today.
Oh, King.
Oh, you're right. I shouldn't do that. Ah, hard work. You're dismissed. Busy, busy, busy.
So yeah, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 bosses, done and dusted. We are set. Now, before we end off this episode, it's time for something a little sad. We're going to bid farewell to Toto. Assuming our Metal King is leveled up enough. I don't know if the EXP we got was enough. But I figure, may as well get this all started so next episode we can greet our new party member. This means I'll have a lot of farming in my future. But we are looking at Iron, who is exactly level 10. So, we will take Dearest Toto and breed with Iron. This will make Hargon plus 15. Pretty darn good. Now, ironically, Hargon is not the new party member. I will straight up tell you this, because, I don't want to waste time here. Hargon, while he is a very good monster, is not the end goal. No, no, no. Instead, what we will be doing is breeding Baramos with Hargon and Orochi. Then, rather than just Baramos, we will be, I believe there is one more step. Yes, using Dark, after all this time, Dark Horn, to create Mudo. That is the ultimate plan. It's admittedly going to take a lot of farming to do this, but I will get snippets of doing all of this and put it in here probably at the end or maybe before the start of next episode. But I did want to start this so I can work on it between episodes. So, you've been one heck of an ally, Toto. It's sad to see you go, especially for Hargon. But yes, we can record this joyful event, and Toto can finally have his rest. He is a White King after all, the guy's undead. Let the man take a break. And unfortunately, this means I will have a lot of farming in my future. But hey, that's alright. Now, obviously, we don't want to go hatching our Hargon just yet, because we want to make sure their gender lines up with the Orochi. So, we will go talk to the lady real quick. Once we've determined the gender, got it all blessed and evaluated, then we will be on our way. Which, to be honest, I did not check the gender of our Orochi, so a little redundant me coming up here, but well, you get the idea. Let's evaluate our Hargon. Cutie little egg. Do not give this baby away. Lots of skills. Takes time to grow up. You know it. It'll be somewhat resistant to enemy skills and spells, meaning it did inherit a bunch of resistances. Very, very good information to have. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for the day. The next time we play Dragon Warrior Monsters, we will ideally have our newest party member, Mudo. And, well, we'll take on the next few gates. It's going to be pretty fun. Also, Orochi is female, so that works out perfectly. We can hatch a Hargon and say hello to our newest little party member before we take our leave. May as well, I figure. I mean, come on. Now, I think I will probably do all the farming and then show Baramos afterwards. But hey, plus 15, I'm probably just going to name him Harg. Harg, we won't know you for long, but by golly, are you going to be powerful. So come along, Harg. For reference, well, you know what he looks like, but here are his starting stats, all pretty darn good. He's going to gain quite a few skills. Now, he is lazy, so I will have to go out of my way to fix that. Though, to be fair, I'll probably just wait for Mudo. Still, we made a lot of progress. Like I said, next time, with our new ally, we'll take on the gates for Dragon Quest III. As always, I'm Brad. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.